Former Olympic doctor Larry Nassar is currently in the middle of sentencing hearings in regard to the countless cases of sexual assault that he's been accused of and found guilty of. Now, Larry Nassar, if you can recall, had molested Olympic gymnasts, many of which were girls, underage girls. And during these hearings, former Olympians are coming and testifying about what they experienced as a result of his predatory behavior. And Aly Raisman, honestly, was one of the more, everyone was so courageous in what they were saying and standing up to him and really speaking the truth about what they experienced. But Aly Raisman, her words were so powerful and so strong, and I really wanted to share it with all of you. And it wasn't just directed at Larry Nassar. Her criticism was also directed at the USA Olympic Committee and USA Gymnastics for putting him on a pedestal and putting him in a position where he could create policies and implement policies that eventually ended up hurting these girls instead of helping them. Now, without further ado, let's hear from Aly Raisman as she confronts Larry Nassar in the courtroom.
I am here to face you, Larry, so you can see I've regained my strength, that I'm no longer a victim, I'm a survivor. I am no longer that little girl you met in Australia where you first began grooming and manipulating. As for your letter yesterday, you are pathetic to think that anyone would have any sympathy for you. You think this is hard for you? Imagine how all of us feel. Imagine how it feels to be an innocent teenager in a foreign country, hearing a knock on the door and it's you. I don't want you to be there, but I don't have a choice. Treatments with you were mandatory. You took advantage of that. You even told on us if we didn't want to be treated by you, knowing full well the troubles that would cause for us. Lying on my stomach with you on my bed, insisting that your inappropriate touch would help to heal my pain. The reality is you caused me a great deal of physical, mental, and emotional pain. You never healed me. You took advantage of our passions and our dreams. You made me uncomfortable, and I thought you were weird. But I felt guilty because you were a doctor, so I assumed I was the problem for thinking badly of you. I wouldn't allow myself to believe that the problem is you. From the time we were little, we are taught to trust doctors. You are so sick, I can't even comprehend how angry I feel when I think of you.
So Nassar has already been sentenced to 60 years in prison on federal child pornography charges. And in the beginning of the statement that you just heard, she talked about how, oh, you think this is hard for you. And she was responding to Larry Nassar saying that he couldn't handle these testimonies anymore, that it was torture. It was very difficult for him to hear it all, which is laughable. He deserves every single one of those women going up there and speaking their minds. Also, as of Friday morning, this morning, 120 women were scheduled to speak at Nassar's sentencing hearing in Michigan.
You did say it was countless amounts of people coming up, but I wanted you to say that number as 120 people are going to testify. 120 women are going to testify at the sentencing hearing. He's already pled guilty to 10 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, and as you said, 60 years already in prison. So there are real numbers here and real people behind all of these allegations. It's not just this one guy doing bad things. These are 120 lives that he's potentially ruined. But I think the real question in this story, the real thing is not just that one guy did bad things, but that a system was built that allowed him not only to get away with it, but to be put in positions where he was going to have ongoing influence over not just his role, but other people's roles, to open the door for other people to have this influence. USA Gymnastics and the US Olympic Committee haven't even acknowledged that the problem exists. So it's not just one guy, it's an entire system that's been built to allow this to happen.
So one more number, they're asking for an extra 125 years for him. Obviously he's gonna spend the rest of his life in jail. But that's the thing with guys like this, they have no empathy. So he thinks, well, why do I have to listen to all these women? I briefly worked in a prosecutor's office. I love the justice of 120 women coming up and confronting him and saying, we're not going to take it anymore, and you should get what you deserve, which is justice in this case. And I think that the stories are powerful. So I'm just going to end on 2 quotes here. Chelsea Zervis is a 15-year-old gymnast. She was molested when she was 12 years old, and she said every time she went to practice, she would feel terrible because he was there, and she was so nervous. I've had tiny interactions with people who like are manipulative, etc., and I don't want to deal with them, and I get like stressed about it. I mean, now imagine a billion times worse with someone who is molesting you. You're 12 years old, and you see them, and she said, "quote I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I'd tremble in fear." And to do this to all these different young girls, and to know that he had the power to get away with it because of the system. And finally, Olympic gold medalist Jordan Weber said, "Even though I am a victim, I won't live my life as one. I'm an Olympian." So people standing up and taking charge and making sure that justice is carried out. So hey, at least the one piece of good news here is the system worked in this one case, and he'll never see the light of day again. If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.